Good morning, welcome to this meeting of the Licensing Subcommittee. Could I invite you to elect a chair, please?
Welcome to today's meeting. This is a public meeting and members of the public and press are permitted to report on proceedings. Reporting includes filming, photographing, making an audio recording and providing commentary on proceedings. Please note this meeting is recorded and streamed live. These recordings are published on the relevant page of the Council's website. By choosing to attend this public meeting, you are deemed to have given your consent to being filmed or recorded and for any footage to be broadcast or published. If the alarm sounds, the premises must be evacuated immediately. Do not spend time collecting personal belongings. All emergency escape routes are clearly signed. Once you have left the building, the assembly point is in the High Street opposite the Guildhall. Members and other speakers are reminded to use their microphones when speaking. I just want to say one other extra thing today because we have a very large presence in the public gallery. I just have to make it absolutely clear that the only people ever allowed to speak at this meeting are those invited to do so by the chair or officers informing the chair of a point of law or procedure. If anybody else speaks at all, they will be asked to leave. I just want to make that clear, okay?
Can I also just add as well that obviously in respect...
No, you can't. I'm sorry, this is an example of what I'm saying. I did not invite you to speak. The chair has to keep control of the meeting. It's a very big public gallery. I don't want things to descend into disorder or, rowdiness or for there to be misunderstandings. Okay. The baby's excluded, of course. Right, thank you for that. Presentations to this subcommittee are not given under oath. However, I should like to remind all parties that the highest standards are expected and any deviation from these standards could possibly influence any decision of the committee. Each applicant and licence holder can be represented by legal representation at their own expense or by a counsellor. Are all parties satisfied with the procedure? Thank you. Charlotte, would you like to just go through the licensing conditions, please?
Thank you, Chair. It was just a reminder that we're here to consider we can only consider the 4 licensing objectives today, which is the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, prevention of public nuisance and the protection of children from harm. This review application relates to the prevention of public nuisance. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. All parties are reminded that a maximum of 20 minutes is going to be allowed for each of the representations, and where there are groups of you, that will be all of you together, a limit of 20 minutes. Okay. Where appropriate, if several parties wish to make a representation, a spokesperson could be appointed. That's your choice. I would now like to invite the licensing officer to present their report.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. If you turn to page 1 of your agenda report pack, this is an application for the review of a premises licence in respect of the Berkeley Arms. Attached to your papers, you will find Appendix 1, which is premises licence review application and all supporting documents. And there are a lot of documents attached which have been submitted. Appendix 2 is a copy of the existing premises licence, so the current premises licence, which contains all of the times, opening hours, licensable activities and conditions of licence that are currently attached. Appendix 3, representations on behalf of the property owner, and we have 2 representatives with us today of the property owner. Appendix 4 is representations in support of the review application, so those supporting environmental health, and Appendix 5 are representations opposing the review application from people supporting the premises. So the purpose of today's report is to consider and determine an application for the review of a premises licence in respect to the Berkeley Arms, which is located at 4 School Road in Worcester. Some background to the papers. So on the 24th of March of this year, an application was received from Janine Burton of Worcestershire Regulatory Services, Environmental Health Team, and they are acting as a responsible authority on behalf of Worcester City. So they are acting as a responsible on behalf of the council, in which they're requesting a review of the premises licence issued in respect to the Berkeley Arms. So the grounds for the review are set out in the application. A copy of the application, as I mentioned, is attached to Appendix 1, and it can be confirmed that the review application relates to the prevention of public nuisance licensing objective, and I'll explain how it fits shortly. This is very relevant, the next section. So the Live Music Act, which took effect on the 1st of October 2012, disapplies live and recorded music related conditions on licensed premises. So where live or recorded music takes place between 8 AM and 11 PM. So at the moment, what you need to bear in mind is that any conditions attached to the licence do not take effect at the present time between 8 AM and 11 PM. The Live Music Act effectively disapplies live music and recorded music as a regulated activity. So this application seeks to impose an additional condition on the premises licence and remove the licence holder's automatic right under the Live Music Act exemptions by bringing the premises back into regulation within those times. So it needs to be pointed out. It can further be confirmed that the application has been advertised in accordance with the requirements of the Act, and I think there's a copy of one of the notices on the front of the petition which you've had circulated just beforehand. The premises licence is currently held by Mrs Beverly Walton, who's here, who is also named on the licence as the designated premises supervisor, and a copy of the licence is attached to Appendix 2. So, during the consultation period, no further representations were received from any of the responsible authorities, and you'll be aware of the responsible authorities being the police, planning, and the other 6 or 7. However, representation has been made on behalf of the property owner, Red Oak Taverns Limited, by Mr Jonathan Smith, who is the partner of Popston Allens, a very well-known licensing solicitors, and that's in support of the premises. And a copy of that representation is attached to your papers at Appendix 3. In relation to other representations, a total of 9 other persons have made representations in respect to the review application. 7 of the representations were submitted by local residents who expressed support for the review application brought by Environmental Health. They claim that the premises is currently undermining the prevention of public nuisance licensing objective. A copy of the representations in support of the review application are attached to your papers at Appendix 4. So all 7 letters are attached to your papers, and that highlights concerns which have been raised by those local residents. A further 2 representations again have been submitted by local residents. These express support for the premises and the premises licence holder, and again they're attached to your papers at Appendix 5. So when considering this matter, you need to take into consideration, and you must have regard to the Council's Statement of Licensing Policy, which is published and available. We haven't attached it to the papers because it is widely available and it is there to view. So the legal implications that you must consider when determining, once you've had an opportunity to hear from all parties, you're obliged to determine the application with a review to the promotion of the licensing objectives. And Charlotte highlighted the licensing objectives, and you must focus your mind on today the prevention of public nuisance licensing objective. If anything is raised for the others, you really need to just focus on the public nuisance. When making your decision, you're obliged to have regard to the Secretary of State's guidance issued under Section 182 of the Licensing Act. In that guidance, in paragraph 16.55, there's a section on the live music, so it succinctly states what you need to consider. And basically, on a review of a premises licence, Section 177A3 of the Licensing Act permits a licensing authority to lift the suspension and give renewed effect to an existing condition relating to music. So at the moment, those conditions do not apply, but that part of the Act gives you the powers today to consider any proposal put forward by Environmental Health for additional conditions, or should you feel it appropriate, conditions to be added, that will take effect between 8 and 11. You must have regard to the application, all of the representations that are made, and any evidence that you hear today. Once you've had that opportunity and you've considered it, the action that you can take needs to be appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives. There are a number of options. I think there is A to E in your papers. So when you come to determine this matter, you must consider which is the most appropriate course of action. There is the option to take no action, having heard all of the representations and considered all the evidence. You may feel it appropriate that no action needs to be taken. You may wish to modify the conditions of the licence by altering, omitting or adding new conditions. You have the option to exclude a licensable activity from the scope of the licence. You have the option to remove the designated premises supervisor. You have the option to suspend the licence for a period of time not exceeding 3 months. And finally, the ultimate sanction is to actually revoke the licence. So there are a number of options open to you today to consider. Very important to consider, though, that the subcommittee is asked to note that it may not take such steps merely because you consider it desirable to do so. It must actually be appropriate in order to promote the licensing objective. So anything you do must relate to that licensing objective of the prevention of public nuisance. So once a decision has been made, all parties to the hearing will be notified formally of the subcommittee's decision within 5 working days of the conclusion of the hearing. Any party aggrieved by a decision taken by the subcommittee today has the right of appeal to the magistrates' courts within 21 days of being notified of the decision. And finally, members, the hearing must be conducted in accordance with the agreed procedure which is laid down in your agenda report pack. So, members, it's for you today to make a decision in relation to the review application. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
I'd like to invite questions from the members if you have any.
Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for coming. The evidence files that were sent to us as a link, were they also sent to everybody as a link, or was any in what format were they sent? Was anyone provided with a disk, or was it just a link in an email, please?
All of the relevant people have been sent a link that has been sent electronically, and I believe that everybody has had the opportunity to listen to the recordings and all of the evidence. And I'm sure they'll give the opportunity to confirm that when the appropriate time comes.
Any further questions? Thank you. I'd now like to invite the applicant or their representative to speak in support of the application.
Sorry, Chair, it would be the application by the Reg Services. Thank you.
Good morning, councillors. I'm Janine Burton. I'm an environmental health practitioner for Worcestershire Regulatory Services. I'm bringing this review for your consideration today under the Prevention of Public Nuisance objective of the Licensing Act 2003, following a long history of noise complaints from the local community around the Berkeley Arms since the summer of 2021. The landlords, Mrs Walton and her son, Ashley Walton, took over the licence in 2020, and prior to that, no noise complaints had been received by Worcestershire Regulatory Services. In terms of complaints, the Berkeley Arms is one of the most complained about premises within Worcester, and with the largest number of complainants. We've currently got 11 separate households that are complaining about the noise from the premises, and they're in the streets all surrounding the premises: Trelawney Close, Boughton Street, Bransford Road, School Road, and more recently Skinner Street. During the period of COVID, when the complaints first started, pubs were encouraged to hold their entertainment and their customers outside, and to have the doors and windows open for the ventilation. By the end of 2021, these restrictions were over. But this being said, it didn't give freedom for premises to create noise nuisance, even though they were holding these events and the entertainment and the customers outside. Complaints about loud music and late night customer noise first started in the summer of 2021. 2 warning letters were sent to the landlords, to which there was no response. And as complaints continued, WRS then started to do noise monitoring. This was undertaken by installing a noise monitor in a complainant's house, and also 3 officers visited 3 different complainants' premises around the Berkeley Arms when a noisy event was taking place. The officers witnessing the noise commented that it was so loud it was like the music was being played in the bedroom of the complainant. The intrusive levels of the music noise was deemed to be a statutory noise nuisance, and so a noise abatement notice was served under the Environmental Protection Act 1990. This notice required the landlords to abate and prevent the recurrence of noise nuisance from the playing or use of electrically produced, amplified and or reproduced music so as to cause a nuisance to occupiers of neighbouring premises. This essentially means stop causing a noise nuisance from amplified music. Serving of an abatement notice isn't taken lightly, and breaching of this notice, if found guilty, is a criminal offence. Unfortunately, noise complaints have continued to date, with 2 new noise complaints received following the service of the review documents. There has been a site meeting with the landlords. There have been several emails, several phone conversations with them as well by numerous officers from WRS since the start of this investigation. And the same advice has been given throughout. Playing of amplified music outdoors is not recommended due to the nature of the premises and the area. We've advised to keep doors and windows closed when any live amplified music is taking place within the premises. We've asked for the landlords to walk around the area to assess the noise levels to see if they're too loud and adjust as necessary. To ensure that late at night, antisocial hours, customers in the beer garden are just controlled and just told to sort of quieten down. And after on premises closing, to move the customers off the car park and from the beer garden as quickly as possible so as not to create a noise nuisance late at night. The premises is open till 12:30 at night. But most importantly, and the easiest thing to do, is just to turn the music down. Unfortunately, the landlords have been uncooperative, taken no notice of the noise abatement notice and not heeded any advice given by competent WRS officers. Local residents have also written and spoken to the landlords about the noise levels from the music and from the customers on several occasions. I've been advised that they've had negative responses and still nothing has changed. Further evidence of the noise nuisance was obtained in the summer of 2024. Environmental Health were notified of an upcoming event and called Mrs Walton in advance of that event to try and preempt any problems. She was advised not to have amplified music outdoors, and other recommendations, as mentioned, were also made. She was also advised that WRS would be noise monitoring the events and the consequences that would happen if there were found to be a breach of that noise abatement notice. But she went ahead with that event. I'd like to play you just 3 brief noise recordings, please, from that. I'd ask you to be mindful as well that when we play back the noise recordings that we take, it is in a proper designated sound room on professional equipment. So it isn't going to sound exactly the same as what it would in such a big room and with people around here. It has, however, been assessed by 3 competent officers, and all 3 officers have deemed that the noise that was witnessed was indeed a breach of the noise abatement notice. At the beginning of these noise recordings, you'll hear a voice just stating the time and the date, and this gives a voice representation in terms of the level of the music behind. But again, bear in mind, it is taken in a complainant's bedroom, close to the microphone. The recordings were approximately, I would say, 20 metres away from the beer garden of the Berkeley Arms. Could we play SR1, please? And could I just get the the beginning bit, and if I can ask you to stop, and then if we can move on of that same recording to 4 minutes 30, please. Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Saturday, 29th of June, 3:10 in the afternoon.
Okay, if we can move on to 4 minutes 30, please. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you. If we could play SR9, please, and just leave that one running.
Saturday, 29th of June, 6:10 in the evening.
I'd like you to imagine that this is your house. Could we keep playing it, please, Julie? Thank you. And it's the weekend. You've been working hard all week, and you just want to relax in your house. You might want to watch television. You might want to listen to music of your own. You might want to read a book, enjoy the garden in the sunshine, have friends over, maybe have a family barbecue. And this is the noise you're hearing. Okay, thank you. The next recording I'm going to play is 11:45 at night, and this is customer noise. Certainly at a time where most people would be sleeping, and certainly children would be sleeping. If we could play number 11, please.
Saturday, 29th of June, 11:45 in the evening.
Okay, thank you. These levels are too loud, certainly for a residential area. They're unreasonable, and they would significantly interfere with the use and enjoyment of a person's property. Living next door to a pub, certainly you do expect a certain amount of noise, but not to this degree. The complainants have told me that they dread the music events when they're coming up. Some leave their homes for the day. Some have said that they just want to move house. due to the stress, the anxiety and the mental health that they're suffering. Now, there are other pubs in the area. We've got the Crown, which is approximately 100 yards away. We've never had any noise complaints from the Crown at WRS. We've got the Brunswick Arms. It's approximately a third of a mile away. We had 2 noise complaints in 2022 and 1 noise complaint in 2023 from that site, but they didn't correlate with the noise complaints from the Berkeley Arms. The Portobello is also a pub that's nearby. It's approximately half a mile away, and a few years ago, we did have significant noise problems from there. They worked with environmental health. We sat down, we formulated a plan, they heeded our advice, and we haven't had any noise complaints since. I would like to just briefly go through a few of the conditions that have been asked for and in conjunction with the responses made from Red Oak Taverns and from Mrs. Walton. Point 1, noise or vibration shall not emanate from the premises so as to cause a nuisance to nearby properties. By placing the conditions on the licence and turning the music down, this should solve that issue. Points 2 and 3 go together. No external speakers, no outside amplified music, including television units. Red Oak Taverns have responded saying that the television has been removed and no speakers have been used outdoors since the review documents were served. Point 4, speakers in the function room to be positioned reasonably practicably away from the door to the beer garden. Mrs. Walton has said that they have been disconnected for the last 12 months. My only issue with that is if mobile speakers are being taken in karaoke DJs, with it being a function room, I would still like a condition placed on there to say that they are in a designated position away from that door, even so. Doors and windows to be kept closed while there is amplified music being played inside the premises. I believe that there is an arrangement to look for a ceiling fan to be installed within the premises for customer comfort. Point 7, all customers to vacate the beer garden and external areas by 10 p.m. except for smoking, and no open vessels to be taken outdoors thereafter. This would reduce late night noise levels by not having the customers congregating and all having a chat. That's what you do, you're having fun. But certainly we need them moved off the premises. And again, comments made by Red Oak Taverns and Mrs. Walton, they're saying that they are doing that and moving them off. We would ask, though, for the beer garden to be closed by 10 p.m. so that people aren't sitting on the benches and having a drink and making noise. The point number 8, the noise management plan to be put in place. Mrs. Walton has submitted a draft copy in her representations. It just needs a bit of fine-tuning and agreement by WRS, and I would suggest that we go over that together and we can fine-tune that and finalise it. Even with these voluntary measures that have been undertaken and are saying that they are going to be taking place, in light of the years of non-compliance and lack of cooperation, I would still ask you to consider placing these conditions on the licence, as I don't believe that without these conditions being put on, this will be maintained. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'd like to invite any questions from members, please, for the applicant.
Thank you, Chair. So just want clarity. So we are not in the... So the recordings that we've heard are are not for us to qualify or assess or attempt to put any value on. The fact is established that there has been, per the three colleagues agreeing, that there has been a statutory noise, statutory nuisance. So I guess my question is relating to whether the change of management, the pre-June 2024, whether that, if I see on page, oh gosh, Appendix 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, page 5, taking over from, so Ms Walton took over in June 2024, transferred the licence from us in January 25. Does that in any way impact anything pre-June 24 or January 20 or January 25? Thank you.
Thank you. No, officers from WRS have predominantly been dealing with Mrs Walton from the start of the investigation, and obviously her son Ashley Walton as well was involved in that, but Mrs Walton would have been contacted and would have been aware of all these complaints since the start.
Thank you, Chair. Can I clarify that each one of those recordings was from a bedroom of a local house? Thank you.
Yes, the microphone is set up and it is left in one place until we remove it, so it isn't moved around. It is always kept in that same place. In this instance, the bedroom.
Any other questions, members? I've got a couple of my own, if that's right. You said a number of complaints. How many complaints exactly have come to you?
Over the years, from 2021, we have had that many complaints that we're talking of hundreds.
Hundreds?
I haven't tallied it up. I would say we're looking around sort of the 100 mark, because we have had over the years complaints in 21, 22, 23, 24, and from that event, this customer noise, that customer noise, so they've run into it.
So can I just clarify the process at your end? You receive a complaint, a single complaint. What happens at that point in terms of the venue being complained about from your point of view?
From our point of view, so when we get a noise complaint in initially, we get all the information, we find out what's going on from the complainant. We would then contact the premises that is being complained about, in this instance, a letter. It's a standard letter, and it basically says, we've had this complaint, it's alleged you're causing a noise nuisance from XYZ. If this is you causing this, or you feel that you can amend things, please do. We will be looking to noise monitor if complaints continue, and this is what could happen, legal action, licence review, etc. In this instance, because it was predominantly over the summer period, it went quiet until the next year. So we thought it's only fair just to send out a second letter just to say, look, we are still having complaints about the premises, and it's pretty much similar to the first letter that's sent out, and it's just saying the same things. Again, if there is still complaints ongoing from then, that's at the point where we monitor, and if we establish that a statutory noise nuisance has occurred, that the music is intrusive and significantly affects the use and enjoyment of a person's property, we would then serve an abatement notice. We then need to do further monitoring if there are still complaints, just to say, has that noise abatement notice been breached? Is there still a significant noise nuisance? And then it's at that point we make the decision as to whether we go down the legal route or the review. But we always try to work with premises, because nobody wants to get to this stage. So we always try and give them advice and work together to try and come to some sort of resolution.
Thank you. Would it, maybe, actually that's a question I think for someone else. No, I think that's at the end of my question. Thank you. Are there any witnesses in support of the application that wish to make representations today? I would now like to invite the premises licence holder and any witnesses. Sorry, beg your pardon.
Sorry, Chair, if we just see if the licence holder's got any questions for the applicant.
I thought I didn't. Beg your pardon. Please, any questions from the licence holder, please?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much. Janine, could I ask you, could you possibly define statutory nuisance, what it is?
Statutory nuisance. It is where levels of noise are... Statutory nuisance is where levels of noise are intrusive, unreasonable, and they significantly affect the use and enjoyment of a person's property.
Okay, because my understanding, obviously, I'm not in a profession like you are, but my definition is meaning continual, not one-offs, being a statutory nuisance. That is my terminology of a statutory nuisance, which has to be continual, not one-offs.
It can be a one-off if it is that significant, but in this event, it has been continuing since 2021 to date.
Also, can I just address as well, Janine, you said a few minutes ago that you received over 100 letters of complaints, or phone calls, I presume, or emails. Could I just clarify that I haven't received 100 letters to tell me about these proposed allegations regarding my pub? So that'd be quite interesting. Also, right from the beginning, when I knew about things, because obviously things have changed as well personally, from my son being the licensee to me just being a new licensee from January this year. So I have always said, please, can we sit down together around a table? And I'm very open to listen to anybody who has concerns about anything that goes on at the Berkeley Arms, to please come and sit down round a table and let's all sit down together and let's try and find a solution and see how we can all work together and address these concerns from these residents. Because unfortunately, I don't know where they live and I don't know who these people are. And as I said before, my door is always open. And, you know, I'm not a person that would sit there and shout. I am a person that wants to listen and understand, so I can move forward.
So sorry, this is questions. Your presentation will come later. Okay.
Okay, I'm trying to taking all your points there. Okay, the letters that were sent out to you initially, they do say if noise complaints continue, we will monitor and we will not contact you again. There is a paragraph in there that says that because you have had a warning. You wouldn't have got a telephone call or an email after every single complaint. There's just too many of them. And also, we would be saying exactly the same thing over and over and over and over. Unfortunately, the advice given wasn't heeded. I did sit down with yourself and Ashley initially after the noise abatement was served. And I had a site visit at the pub. You showed me round and we discussed what we could do to come to a compromise. So after that event, phone calls were made. I didn't think it necessary to go through everything again on site. Again, I'm told that neighbours did contact you and it was pointed out to you where the complaints were coming from: Trelawney, Bransford Road, Boughton Street and School Road. So that will give an indication of where the complaints are coming from and where you need to be mindful of to monitor for the noise. Sorry, was there anything else that I missed out there?
No.
Any further questions for the applicant? No. Okay, thank you. Now I would like to invite the licence holder to do a presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair, for your time. sorry I interrupted you earlier. I just wanted to clarify that I respect the committee here today. And because I've had so many overwhelming response, 1,200 people have signed a petition, and obviously out of respect for the committee today, I've had to really narrow it down to people that wanted to be here today, out of respect to the committee and where we are today, because it just would have been too overwhelming, absolutely. Thank you, Janine, as well, for speaking. Could I just actually go back on that just that little bit? The recording we heard was June the 29th, and that was for it was for the Breasthaven unit at Worcester. But the recordings that I've listened to, 11 out of 13 were for the same day, June the 29th. That was quite extraordinary, that 11 out of 13 was the same date, because I was expecting to hear and see lots of information, but it was just 11 out of 13 was the same date. Also, looking at the recording as well, it shows somebody hanging out of a bedroom window as well, doing the video. Again, it looked like Trelawney. I don't know, but it looked like that. So Trelawney, if it is a property in Trelawney that is done where the video came from, I know their house because obviously I've been in number 4 to try and witness and gauge noise myself personally. But those houses, you've got a kitchen on the front, you have a corridor, and then you have a lounge right at the back of the property.
Excuse me a second, please. It's going to probably important not to identify individuals, or it's a public meeting and, you know, your presentation is what you want to say, but to identify individuals or addresses, I don't think that's advisable. Okay.
Sorry, Chair. I was trying to obviously look at where the actual video recording was being made. And obviously, I appreciate and respect that a person's home is their haven. But normally, a person would be sat in their lounge, which obviously is at the back. It's right at the back.
The point I'm trying to make is please don't identify individual addresses. I understand you're trying to say where it is, but is that okay?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Thank you. Could I actually go through as well? Have I got time to actually go through the variations they want to make on my licence, and what would it affect it is going to have on me and my business? I know Janine has already pointed out, but noise or vibration shall not emanate from the premises to cause nuisance to nearby properties. What I have done actively, I have moved the position of any live singer inside. We've moved that away from the actual large window from the front of the building, and we put the actual where we have a singer or we have a karaoke to the middle of the building, to try and reduce the noise escaping from the building. The back door is kept shut as well, so we do that. The windows at the front and the care home, we've had no complaints about that either, because they are my nearest neighbours. I also am very aware it's just an old building, 1760, and I think and possibly some of the noise from inside might be escaping because we've got old slatted windows down the bottom of the corridor, which then goes onto the back of the beer garden. So I am in the process at the moment of getting that double glazed unit, which hopefully will then reduce any escaping possible noise from there. The next point was number 2, no external speakers to be used including TV units. Can I just stress, we do not have additional speakers on our outside TV. I have one TV. I know other places have actual external speakers attached to TVs. This is just an ordinary TV that you have in your home. And also, I do not leave remote controls outside for customers to use it and turn it up. It's very much controlled, but most of the time, and I mean a lot of the time, I will put the TV on if there's a football match on, but most of the time I don't have a volume on it and I have control. I take the remotes inside with me to the pub, so I've got control of that. Says, and again, number 3 addresses the same thing about TV units. Number 4, speakers in function room to be positioned as reasonably practically away from the exit entry door and not towards the beer garden function room. As I say, Janine had already pointed that out. For the last 12 months, speakers in the function room have been disconnected and there is no amplified music from that area at all and none projected towards the beer garden at all from indoors. Number 5, this is a struggle. All doors and windows are to be kept closed at all times when music amplified voices are performing. This is the hardest one to comply with, because seriously it would affect both clientele and my business. As I do have a duty of care to keep people safe and comfortable, like you would in your own home. If you're hot and you need temperature control, you would open a door or a window, especially now as we're going into the summer months. The only problem is my building is 1760, and as you can imagine, the ceilings are extremely low. I have thought about, and I'm still fathoming out what to do and how I can move forward. Ceiling fans, I think, might be an option, but again, I have to make sure they are safe because the ceilings are so low, and some people are quite tall these days, not like how it used to be in 1760. So again, it's very difficult. Also, I'm thinking about air conditioning units. Again, in this climate, as we're trying to run a business, it's extremely hard. They are very expensive. Where they would be located would be the outside of the premises. And again, they are very noisy, extremely noisy to where they're positioned outside. So again, that is quite difficult. Number 6 says prominent, clear and legible notice shall be displayed at all exits. And I have addressed this. This has been a long-standing for quite a while. All customers of mine are told verbally before leaving the premises to respect our neighbours. After every single evening, it's verbally said to all my customers, please respect where we are and please leave quietly. Signage is all in place. I also put myself on the door when people are leaving to again say, even though they've just been told, can you please respect and leave quietly, please. Number 7, all customers to vacate the beer garden by 10 o'clock, except for smoking with no open vessels to be taken outside. This will greatly affect my business as, again, coming into the summer months, hopefully we all have a nice summer. People do want to sit in the beer garden and have a chat and, you know, enjoy the summer months and the fresh air. Also, obviously, we've all gone through COVID, which was a very unusual time for us all. I did spend a lot of money and adhere to all the legislations asked from me from government, councillors, site visits, environmental health, that we were to spend money and utilise the outside areas. And we took away a couple of car spaces to make it comfortable for people to come, and also covered areas as well. So it is a very nice beer garden. I've spent a lot of money on it, and people do like to sit in a beer garden, especially in the summer. The bit I really struggle with is do not take your drinks outside with you. I cannot and will not ask customers to leave their drinks behind. We are very lucky that we live in a beautiful city of Worcester. But unfortunately, and I mean this, unfortunately, spiking of drinks is on the increase. And I cannot stress the importance of not leaving your drinks behind unattended. Even if I have young girls going to the toilet, they know what I'm like. They will leave their drinks behind me, with me, if they want to go to the toilet, because they know they will be safe with me. But I cannot ask all my pub, if they want to go out for a cigarette, to leave their drinks behind. No, I cannot. I cannot do that. Number 8, noise management plan to be put in place. And again, you all have a copy of the noise management plan, which I adhere to, and the staff working for me as well adhere to that as well. I've even taken my own video recordings as well for that, just to monitor it and then listening back to myself when I'm sat quietly as well. But again, yes, I do have video evidence of that. But yeah, I do adhere to all those things as well. And I think just basically we haven't had that many outdoor events, as you all know, because obviously I've outlined all the actual events that we had. 2024, we had 17th of March ukulele event in the garden, 3 till 5 for St Richard's Hospice. Again, the 26th of May, we had one singer, 3 till 6, again for St Richard's Hospice. And the June the 29th was a Chalky Martin Lolly Parton tribute, 3 till 6, and again, that was for the Breasthaven unit. And again, the 24th of August, 1 hour, ukulele 3 till 4, and again for St Richard's. We are lucky enough that we have all these services in this beautiful city, but these charities need our support and our money. And obviously I had 4 events outside last year because a lot of people liked to walk to a garden, and we have all ages. We have from young families to my oldest customer of 101. We have a varied ages and diverse community use the pub. But these services all need our money, and you know, I can't stress enough that one day we all might need these services. I found myself at the Breasthaven unit a couple of weeks ago, and what a service they provide. And we are so lucky in this city to have all these beautiful services. And lucky enough for me, my problem was benign, thank goodness, but an amazing area to be and looked after. I have got a summary, but I don't want to keep taking up so many time because I've got other people as well that want to speak as well. Basically, I just wanted to clarify really the word public house. What does it actually mean? It's a 17th century saying. And you know what? The role of a public house in the 17th century was for travellers, for their well-being, somewhere to stay for their well-being. And my pub dates back to 1760. And the ethos really about me as a person and about my pub is to provide a safe and comfortable environment and a warm welcome to all a wide range of diverse customers that we have. Lots of people, even a detective actually came in last week and said, can I just tell you on a one-to-one, this pub is the only pub I can physically walk in as a woman on my own and feel safe. And I cannot stress how many times people say that to me. When you walk into my pub, it has been told and talked about as well. I don't know what it is about that building, but as soon as you walk into that pub, it gives you a hug, which is very, very unusual, extremely unusual. The pub is a meeting point as well, and we do provide a wide range of events. And you know, it is a community pub because it's not just run by me, it is actually run by the community. The community themselves get involved because they want to get involved, because they love the pub so much and they feel really they belong, they are a family. And again, I find the Berkeley Arms quite unique. We do quizzes, we do clairvoyance, we do have 3 darts teams, We have Knit and Natter. We have friendship groups. I provide a free function room for the community. Things are tough at the moment for people, you know, and I do provide meeting points for Worcestershire Carnival Committee use me. Councillors or different people use my meeting rooms because it's there to be used. It's a community pub. Please come and use the facility. I don't care if you have a glass of water, just come and use the facilities. I do feel all these conditions will impact my business. And as a mental health nurse as well, I find it, you know, you talk about music, but as a mental health nurse, my background, music has found to have so many benefits. It reduces anxiety, stress and depression. And music actually enhances mood and focus and boosts self-esteem, which is what we all need actually in this, you know, in this area that we are at the moment. And again, I can't stress enough the importance of Berkeley Arm raises so much money for their local charities. Since I've been there, since August 2020, we've raised about £20,000, and that all goes to local charities. And that is me as a person. I want to give back to the community as much as I can. And that's me. Thank you very, very much for your time.
Thank you very much. You have a few minutes left if you want somebody to also speak. Probably about 5 minutes maximum.
Hi, I suffer with my mental health and anxiety. I'm autistic and I wear hearing aids, and it's taken an awful lot for me to speak today, but I'm doing this because I feel so strongly about the Berkeley. It's been an absolute lifeline for me. I was becoming agoraphobic. I wasn't going out, mixing with anybody. I went to a friendship group at the Berkeley, which in turn has given me new friends, a new best friend. I play in the ladies' darts team. And it's, for me, it's a way of getting out and interacting. And it's a lovely clientele. It's welcoming, friendly, and to take away the licence would be very detrimental to my mental health. And as Bev was saying before, I'd already written this down, never ever before have I been able to walk into a pub on my own, but I can in the Berkeley, because Bev, she's so caring and she's warm, and I really do now consider her a friend. That's that. Okay.
Could you just let us know who you are, please?
Yes,
But are you a local resident as well to the pub itself?
I'm in WR2 St John's. Yeah.
Thank you very much, and thank you for speaking. I'd like to invite members now. Any questions that you have? Some? Oh, and another one. Oh, okay. Sorry, I beg your pardon.
Hi, I'm Becky. I work at Regent Residential Care Home. I'm an activities coordinator. We are most probably the closest to you, aren't we? We've never had a problem with the noise. Bear in mind, we're a two-tier building. We're literally adjacent. All residents' windows are open. Function room is on the front, which will impact our care home. Never heard them, never had a problem. We work really closely now with Bev for fundraising. We have one coming up 5th of June.
Yes.
Yeah. All proceeds are going to our residents to do with their activities, getting out and about. We've worked very closely last year. We've never had a complaint from family members, let alone our residents. And bear in mind, we're opposite, windows are open, and we don't actually hear them. We don't even know she's there. And you're detrimental to our residents. And you're closing too early now, which is impacting them. But no, I can honestly say, Thank you.
Thank you.
From my residents
Thank
too.
you. Thank you.
Okay, I think that might be the time limit now. It's 20 minutes. Is there any time left on the 20 minutes?
The time would be up. It would be up to you, Chair.
Yeah. If it's very, very quick, it's okay. But you have already had your 20 minutes.
Thank you, Chair.
Hello, I will try and make this as quick as possible. This big speech, but there's not enough time. I'm 20 years old. I can be regularly come in. I know my friends. I come in. I live in Berkeley. There's been walking. I've not got to constantly look over my shoulder like I do in any other pub in St John's. And I'm not gonna watch that. And then if these things were to happen, I wouldn't feel safe because it would be a change, and I wouldn't be able to have my drink when I go outside to have a cigarette. And it's things like that. It's just, it's not the Berkeley. And the Berkeley do so much for charity. Like last year, I think it was October time, we had a day fundraising for the Children's Oncology Unit at Worcester, and we had this little girl, and bless her heart, she helped us with the auction and selling, and she was just amazing to have there today, and it really shows us what we do it for. And Bev runs around like an absolute headless chicken, panicking, being a perfectionist for everything. But then at the end of the day, and we see that money we've raised and the hearts that we have touched, Bev is a Cheshire cat, and she is so, so happy. And that's what it means to her and what it means to everyone. And there's just so much love. Like the petition that I set up, I checked it last night, it was 1,268, and it's just all of those people for Bev. Sorry.
Okay, that will be it now, I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Now I'd like to invite questions from members, please, for the licensee.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for coming and speaking today. Mrs. Walton, I wish to clarify one of your points in your submission. Do you accept responsibility for the noise complaints and resolving them before you took over in June 2024?
It's very difficult because obviously it started off with a partnership with my son in 2020. He was a licensee. I just retired as a nurse, and I was there to support him as much as I could, do all the finances and the paperwork, and help him as much as I could. But also I was running between the Berkeley Arms and my home in Droitwich, and also I have an elderly mother to look after as well. So I was working between obviously the two areas. I love my son, but he's not the best communicator in the world. And sometimes I didn't always get all the messages, and if there was any letters, sometimes I didn't always receive them, unfortunately. Those that I did have, obviously I contacted the environmental health straight away. Sometimes I'd have to leave messages for somebody to ring me back from the environmental health, and sometimes I didn't even get a response from the environmental health. Sometimes it could be hit and miss, but I did try to address as much as I could when I knew about it. So yes, I did try.
Thank you. So in answer to my question, yes, no, do you feel that you have the duty? I appreciate the difficulties, but it's more about, my question is about how you feel about being as the DPS for the premises and the responsibility pre-June 2024. Thank you.
Yes, of course I take responsibility. Of course I do. But now, as the new DPS and the new licensee, I have overall control now. I have overall control now.
Thank you very much, Chair. I wonder if you can tell us about any material changes that you've already applied to your building. For example, acoustic things like acoustic baffles or triple glazing. I note that under the EPC of your building, the insulation is listed as poor. I wonder if you've improved anything like that, please.
Thank you. The corridors have been insulated, and again, down the bottom of the corridor, there is all the units are double glazed, apart from down the one area where we've got the old slatted glass. And I am very, very aware that any noise might be obviously going through those slats into the beer garden.
Sorry, to clarify, because I haven't done a site visit, the area you're talking about, where is that in terms of where the beer garden is and where the noise is?
So you've got the beer garden, and then you'll go into the building from the back. So you've got slatted glass at the top there, and then you've got a corridor, a long corridor. Again, all that's been insulated as well. And then you'll then get into the bar area, and then the middle of that room there is where we have one singer or a karaoke. I don't have bands anymore because I just have one singer to obviously reduce the noise down. So the area where I want to do work next is put double glazed unit at the bottom, where it goes immediately onto the beer garden. So I think that will make a dramatic difference. So obviously I'm in the process of that now. I'm just getting estimates now to have that work done.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Is your premises a listed building, or is it not listed? And I do have another question.
It's not listed.
Thank you, that's fine. You mentioned 11 out of 13 audio files all being on the same day. Do you agree that there are 37 files in total and on at least 8 different dates that I've noted personally?
The ones that I had the link to and I could open, obviously I've documented on and obviously responded with those. There was a couple that I couldn't open at all.
Could you let us know which those are, please?
I'd have to go through the documentation that I sent to
I've got a
you.
technical question potentially. Have we got available any of these files that you haven't heard that we could? Is that possible?
I can access. Chair, yes, I can access them. My issue is, and this is the reason why that they've been sent direct, is that some of them may contain personal information, if they're video files, for example, and so we have to exercise some caution in terms of what can be put in the public domain and what can't. If you want to have an adjournment, I can go through all the files. There are quite a significant number, and try and establish which ones we're talking about. And just check that if Beverly wants to see or hear them, we can do that, but it would probably need an adjournment to be able to work through that process.
Chair, the noise files, both noise files that were recorded by WRS were also individually sent to Mrs. Walton via email.
I'm happy to have an adjournment to hear all the evidence that's available.
You think that we need an adjournment, or would we be looking to go into private session?
Stopping the recording is fine if that's what we're worried about, but what about other people in the room? Are we comfortable with that or not?
I don't know which files are, so that
Private session.
yeah, sorry, that's
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll have a comfort break. We'll establish what the nature of the files is that we might want to look at. And if it's appropriate, we'll go into a private session to do that. Okay, so we are now adjourning for 10 minutes.
okay. Yeah, I think Beverly, if you can stay with us, we can work through this and hopefully.
Thank you, Julian. Thanks for returning, everybody. We took an adjournment to take to try to listen to some of the evidence that Bev might have been missing, but I think she can't decide which items they are, and to go through every single one I don't think would get us much further. So I am suggesting that we now just carry on with the meeting as before, if that's okay with everybody. I would like to just carry on with questions for you, please, Bev. Any more questions? Yes, off you go, Andrew.
Thank you. In your statement addressing how proposed changes to licence would affect your business, on point 4A, you said for the last 12 months, speakers been disconnected, and that there is no music amplified and projected into the garden for the last 12 months. And within the evidence base, there was a recording from 29th of June 24 of a live singer amplified singing outside, yet undercover. And I'm just trying to reconcile the statement between that there's, on the one hand, that there's no music amplified and projected into the garden, and on the other side, video footage indicating that there is. And I'm just trying to reconcile that. Would you be able to help me to do so, please?
Yes, of course. Regarding number 4, that was about amplified music in our function room. So obviously the speakers in the function room have been disconnected over 12 months. Regarding outdoor events, which were 4 last year and none this year, they are amplified, but again, monitored to obviously minimise the loudness and the capacity. But again, Sunday afternoon, 3 till 6, 3 of them, and one of them 3 till 4, 1 hour.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
Yes. Thank you, Chair. I note that you talk about when your customers are leaving, that you verbally talk to them. I wondered, I hope that you get holidays, and I hope you have some time for yourself. I wonder what happens in those circumstances when you're not there, please.
I rarely have a holiday because it's very, very difficult. I have been away this year. That was for a week in January. And I have one lady that works with me closely. And we have a very good communication and rapport, and she knows exactly to speak to people, to clarify. Again, my ethos for the Berkeley Arms is to try and be courteous and respect our neighbours, because obviously I do sit within the community, in the heart of it. So she carries on my requests, and obviously we have a management plan in place anyway, which is in black and white, and it is followed, and I trust her completely.
Thank you. Any further questions, Andrew? Or shall I come in with one while you're waiting? I'll come in with one. So I'd just like to understand why would you have a TV outside?
I have a TV outside because that was a request from our customers. It is a beautiful beer garden, and I think it's one of the nicest beer gardens that I've been told in St John's. And people do like to sit in the beer garden, but also, as I say, we've had the England football match, and when things like that are on, people are quite interested, and they do want to actually spend time in a nice environment, but also to keep up to date with football and things like that. So it's always football if I put anything on outside. If there's a major football event like England or something like that, then the television is on, obviously, because people are very interested and also very patriotic as well to our country.
So when the television is outside, what sort of volume is it running at?
As I said to before, with regard to the volume, Chair, I have control of the remote controls, and it's just one ordinary TV which you have in your own home. We've got no added amplification on that, it's just ordinary. Most of the time, if I do put football on, I will have no sound at all, or I'll be very, very quiet, and even the customers say, oh, we can't hear it now, and I say, no, I have to respect where you are, where you're sitting, and I am close to neighbours in the back beer garden. So again, I have full control of the remote controls. Can I just stress, I only have one TV at the Berkeley Arms. My surrounding pubs have numerous more TVs in their gardens, but me personally, I have one.
Thank you, Chair. So the only TV you have is outside? There's no TV indoors?
So regarding TVs, I have one outside, which is what I just spoke about. One TV outside underneath the smoke shelter. And again, as I just addressed, other pubs have numerous TVs outside in their beer gardens. Inside, I have one in the lounge and one in the bar. And again, I have control of the remotes. But they are not also, they're just like ordinary TVs that you have in your own home. I haven't got additional speakers connected to the TVs.
Thank you. So 2 TVs inside, 1 TV outside. Thank you. When there's a football match on, yes, the television volume's low. When there's cheering, obviously football matches watched loud, people cheer and groan and other noises. So just wondering how you feel about that in terms of a noise issue for immediate neighbours. I appreciate that the layout is quite congested in terms of the whole site and with echoes, etc. So I'm just a little bit concerned about the acoustic challenges that the site, the premises itself presents, and what extra measures may or may not be appropriate relating to people being noisy whilst watching a football match, telly on quiet, but it's the noise from the clients that could be a concern. Thank you.
Again, like you just clarified, it is acoustic, people's voices, not amplified, which how it all started by amplification. So it is acoustically people's voices. Again, people do get excited about football, but again, we have a wide range of people. It's little families up until, elderly people visiting the Berkeley Arms. So it's not just one domain of loads of perhaps lots and lots of young men, shall we say. There are lots of diverse ages. And I think our customers are very respectful. But again, if it is starting to get a little bit loud, then obviously I have a duty of care to manage that, which I do, and they know that. And if it was getting loud, I would say so, and they know that.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I've got a further question. What is the problem with just turning the music down a bit? Can you let me know about that?
Is that regarding to artists themselves singing inside, outside?
Anytime you're having a musical event, what are the problems to you if that music was just turned down a bit?
I do ask for the music to be turned down, obviously inside, because I have a duty of care to monitor that, which I do. And the artists will probably all tell you, I'm continually monitoring it, asking them to turn it down. I keep checking outside to the back of my perimeter of my premises to ensure that no noise is emanating from the inside of the building to the outside. And I do check hourly and also do videos as well, just to make sure that I haven't actually missed anything as well.
I just have a question for the applicant, if I may. Can you tell me whether all of the complaints that you have had relate to the music events outside, or are there other complaints that you've been considering?
The complaints are a complete mixture. The outdoor events that are amplified, but also indoor music that's amplified, and also customer noise. So it's the three sections.
Thank you very much. Any further questions for the licensee? Oh, sorry.
Thank you. I just wondered if we could clarify, there's a couple of points in the Poppleston Allen response that slightly contradict some of the points that you said. I just wondered if we could clarify the position there. So this is Appendix 3, Agenda Item 3, Appendix 3, page 355. It's in the large bundle of the large agenda rather than your papers. Have you got any spare copies, perhaps? Do you need a moment just to look at that first? Yeah, okay. Oh, sorry. Oh,
Sorry.
If you see on that paragraph there, it says that the tenants will be removing the outside television. Could you just clarify, because that slightly contradicts what you've said to the committee today?
Yes, I have still got the outside TV there in place. It's still covered up, obviously, because it's been winter. It hasn't been on. And also, I just thought with this appeal date today, I thought I would just leave everything be for the now for the TV, because obviously it's more work and more cost as well to myself. But I just thought I'd leave it there for the time being because we're having the appeal today. So it's covered up and it has not been on and has not been used.
Thank you. So as things stand, your position to the TV will remain. Is that correct?
At the moment, yes. Because obviously I was, because of today, I just needed some more clarification.
Also, in their response, they've said that customers will not be taking drinks out after 11 p.m. I know in your response you referred to at the 10 p.m. deadline that the applicant's request for, but could you give a clarification of your position about the 11 p.m. that Poppleston Allen have suggested?
It's very difficult because we have a designated smoking area at the back of the pub that is adjacent onto the actual physical pub itself. And people obviously should be using that smoke area really, then going standing at the side of the building. And also you don't want people start to sort of move onto a public pathway. So really it's a smoke shelter at the back adjacent is for designation of smoking. And that's what it is. And it is very difficult. I've tried to say, please don't use this, and the signs are there, don't use it at 11 o'clock. And also I make sure that the doors are always closed. It's very difficult.
That wasn't your question, was it, Sean?
I'm sorry.
It's just if you could confirm your position about whether you consider that 11 o'clock deadline to be achievable. So it says customers not to take drinks outside after 11 p.m. What's your position about that, if possible?
I've said, obviously it's a designated smoke area at the back, but if the decision is we are not to use the smoke shelter after 11 o'clock, then obviously then those people would have to start using other areas to go out and have a cigarette. And again, that's what worries and concerns me, because at the side then of the building, which is where our entrance to the building is, then you are near a public path as well. So does that make sense? So that is my struggle really. That's a designated smoke shelter, and yet people aren't to use that really after 11. It can be achieved, yes, but the outcome.
Does that answer your question now?
I think as far as it would be able to have another one, if that's okay, Chair. Yeah. Just finally, I was just wanting to just talk through your noise management plan. So again, here we've said that the outside areas will be checked half hourly. In your plan, you've said that it would be hourly monitoring. Could you just talk the members through how you would do those checks, what it would involve, and what you would do if you encountered an issue?
Obviously, we have entertainment on normally Friday, Saturday. Obviously, it's very rare on a Sunday unless it's a charity event we are running. But so on a Friday, Saturday, when these events are happening, when we do have music or something on like that, it's more hourly. And obviously, there's the two of us, and we take it in turns to do that patrol around the building when music is playing.
Could you just sort of walk us through what you might do, and if you encountered an issue, what steps you would take, if possible?
So when myself and my staff member do go outside on the hourly, we have taken video recordings as well, just in case I've missed anything or I just need to play it back just to make sure. So we walk all the way around the perimeter, and we also stand right at the far, which is our boundary wall as well. And then obviously you've got the building, you've got a beer garden, then you've got a covered area, then you've got a garage, then you've got a gap, and then you've got a brick wall, then you've got a gap, and then you've got houses at the back. So obviously I stand at the far as on that boundary brick wall, and that's where we go to make sure you can't hear any music or anything from inside coming out.
And forgive me, just one last point. So if then you did encounter excessive noise, if you just explained to the members what you would do in those circumstances.
So if I did hear, standing on the very back of the boundary wall, if I could hear anything, then obviously I go back in and I speak to the artists and ask them to turn the volume down immediately. And that's the whole point of doing checks, is to monitor and keep control of noise.
Yeah, thank you. Andrew?
Thank you, Chair. Initially, I started with one question. Now, relating to agenda item 3, appendix 3, page 355, the email with Popal, Jonathan Smith. So, from Jonathan Smith. So, I'll leave my main point till last. The 2 points, just the latter 2 questions as raised by my colleague here, the officer here. So, about the 11 p.m. deadline, that was relating to clients taking drinks outside after 11, not about whether it's the use of the smoking shelter. So my clarity that I would like to have is about whether you would agree that customers don't take their drinks outside after 11. The second query arising relating to in the noise management plan, there's a mention of hourly checks. In the Jonathan Smith email, there's half-hourly checks mentioned. So I'm trying to understand, are we talking hourly or half-hourly, or would you be amenable to the half-hourly being within the noise management plan, which is perhaps the official document? And my final question or query, just to understand, in the opening paragraphs, paragraph 3, our client has benefit of a registration of interest at these premises, but was not advised of the review of the premises licence, which seems a bit peculiar because I'd have thought all members, all parties have been notified. So I'll just finish the point, please. And then about a lack of contact from WRS. So I just would like clarity about that. But if we take the first 2 points, which are the minor points first, and then the contact, I suppose, relating to review of the premises licence. Thank you.
Regarding the checks outside, that is and has been hourly. Half an hourly is really, really hard and to struggle with. So hourly.
Thank you for that clarity. So we will disregard any mention of half-hourly checks. Thank you. My second question was about whether the 11 p.m. No drinks outside after 11 p.m. whether that's feasible.
Again, after 11 p.m, if for the designated smoke shelter not to be used and no drinks to be taken outside, then like it is now, because of people going out there and they'll have a cigarette and they will chat, and that causes a problem. So it's gone from music to actually people talking as well in the garden. So that is causing a problem as well, apparently. So yes, I can close it down, the outside smoke shelter. But again, I have a duty of care and also fire and safety as well, that I don't really want to start locking a back door because it's a mean of escape. So that is very, very tricky. I've got all the signs that before you go through that back door where the smoke shelter is, do not use after 11 o'clock at night. But I cannot physically lock that door because that's against health and safety, especially fire. But again, I can ask people to use the side, which they have been, because I keep verbally asking people, don't go please out to the back of the smoke shelter. Please use the side of the premises to go and have a cigarette.
Thank you. I'm not talking about locking doors. It's the question about agreeing whether or not customers would be asked not to take their drinks outside with them when they go for a cigarette.
Again, I don't want anybody to leave their drinks behind. So they will not use the back of the shelter and leave their drinks behind in the designated smoke area. They will use the side of the building to smoke.
With or without drinks outside?
They will take their drinks with them to the side of the building.
Okay, thank you. I think this is helpful to understand about, because I think the point is about customers not taking their drinks outside anywhere on the premises. So by taking drinks outside, that encourages people to stay longer. It's not a case of nipping out for a quick cigarette to get the nicotine hit, but it's about getting, it's about actually taking drinks with you. If people take drinks, they stay longer outside is the point, and I think hence why it's a point that I'm just trying to get to the bottom of. Thank you.
Again, I wouldn't want to go anywhere and leave my drink behind when I either go to the toilet. I don't smoke personally, but if I did smoke or go to the toilet, I would not leave my drink behind. It is not safe. I
personally agree, and I personally would, either buy a half pint or drink the pint up before then going outside. But that's not in question here. The question is about whether people have drinks outside.
As a duty of care to people, to keep people safe, I cannot ask people to leave their drink behind. I cannot do that.
Thank you. Sorry, just one final go. I'm not asking conditioning people to leave a drink behind. It's the point about not taking a drink outside. So, drink up and then outside have your cigarette, come back in, get another drink, for example. I'm not saying that drink spiking is not a problem. I appreciate your diligence on that, but what we're looking at here is a noise issue that's been raised about indoor and outdoor and customer noise, and it's relating to this third point that this is a particularly relevant aspect in my opinion. Thank you.
As a non-smoker, I do I do appreciate smokers like to have a drink as well as while they are smoking as well. It's hand in hand. And that is from a professional point of view as well, even a cup of tea. They still like to have a cigarette in the hand and have a cup of tea. And that's from a drug and alcohol background.
Thank you.
had a question.
Sorry, Chair. Sorry, and now for your colleague who was indicating they wish to answer about my main question, which was actually about the communications about the review of the premises licence and contact being made or not made.
Yes.
Thank you.
My name's Jeff Dunn. I'm the area manager for Red Oak for the Berkeley. We've owned the pub around about a year, Chris, I think. We bought it from Marston's. Chris.
I'm Chris Faulkner. I'm Senior Business Development Manager for Red Oak Taverns, and I work alongside Jeff and have a joint responsibility for the Berkeley for the business.
Yeah, we've owned it for around about a year. We bought it off of Marston's around about a year ago. The third paragraph sums it up, well, perfectly actually. We haven't been informed. We haven't been kept informed. We had no prior warning to this situation, apart from the notice going up on the lamppost outside the pub, which is an unusual circumstance. I've done this job for 30 years. 30 years now, actually, not the same company, but with lots of companies. And this is the first review I've sat in since 2005. So 20 years.
So your
Because normally sorry.
Pardon, your licence holder didn't tell you about what was...
Sorry?
Your licence holder didn't tell you about this, what was coming down the track?
No, she told us when the notice went up. That was the first time she heard about it.
But that can't have been the first you knew of this, surely? The fact that there was going to be a review and there had been complaints, that can't be the first.
When the notices went up, I didn't know what that was.
I'm baffled.
Yeah, with respect, I'm not sure that's completely relevant, whether our licensee or our tenant tells us. We should be kept informed anyway. And as I was saying...
I'm so sorry, I do need to track this down. The applicant, are you happy? Would you like to answer that?
We liaise with licensing on this point and for the notices to go out. What I would say is that Red Oak Taverns did contact us in May prior to purchasing the building with regards to land registration searches that came up, and they contacted us to ask notices, there's 2 abatement notices on this premises, to which I responded to them to say, yes, these are the notices, here are the copies, and this is the actions. So that was flagged up, that there was 2 noise abatement notices on that property, and what that meant.
Thank you.
Well,
Sorry, Niall, yes, Niall.
Chair, I might just confirm something that's been raised in relation to Red Oak Taverns. So Red Oak Taverns had submitted a notification of interest, which means that they should be notified when an application is submitted for a premises licence review. There was an original premises licence review application submitted. Red Oak Taverns weren't notified of that. They weren't. Jonathan Smith contacted me from Popston Allen. We had a conversation, and there were 1 or 2 procedural issues with that application, so it was withdrawn. And then a further review application, which is the one you see before you, was submitted. Mr. Smith had seen all of the paperwork, so for the second one, the procedure was carried out correctly because he was fully aware of the review. But I think the issue here is the issues that have been taking place since 2022, the property owners weren't aware of them, but that's really for the licence holders to discuss with the property owners as well.
Thank you very much. Please continue.
I kind of lost my thread, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, as I was saying, this is the first review I've sat in for 20 years. It's a highly unusual situation. normally there's a dialogue between us and responsible authorities, and we normally sort things out before it gets to this stage. So yeah, communication, I have to say, has been flaky, I guess, and that's pretty much all I can say on it. We're fairly disappointed that we're sitting here today.
Charlotte, could I just have a quick word with you, please?
Do we need an adjournment?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Right, thank you, Julian. I have a question for you both, really. Can you tell me what steps and processes you might put in place in order to get agreement and harmony in this situation?
Well, I think if I can speak, firstly, having a relationship that we have with our tenant partners, we would be able to work through, honestly, any issues that are there, work through what due diligence should be in place, what best practices from our experience and what we see in other similar pub properties having the same challenges around the country, and also from our own experience. Me, myself, I used to operate pubs, same as Beverly does, and have faced similar challenges and could have helped her through that and guided her through that. And because of the relationship, we feel we'd 9 times out of 10 get the buy-in that we need to prevent us getting to this point here. As Jeff mentioned earlier, we pride ourselves on our relationships, and we pride ourselves on being able to help our tenant partners in these situations to avoid this.
Yeah, Hannah, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So in this incident, is there a communication breakdown between your parties that has stopped this best practice, as you say, happening?
It's difficult to answer that. What I'd say is we'd hope that if there's an issue that our tenant partner would tell us, but the reason why we hold a register of interest is so that we get the right information at the right time from the right authorities. It shouldn't be necessarily down to our tenant partners to inform us that these issues are there. Some of them may not. We don't have brilliant relationships with every tenant partner. That isn't life, that isn't reality. Some of them may not. They want to maybe hide away from the reality of what's going on. So we can't rely on the people in the pubs telling us. We should be able to rely on the people who are responsible authorities to tell us at the right time in the right way.
And how would you describe your relationship both ways between the Berkeley House, please? Berkeley Arms, please.
I'd say it's a fairly good relationship, but having said that, we again have only owned the property for about 11 months actually now. So it's not a fully established relationship as such. So yeah, it's still a pretty good working relationship, I'd say. But that still doesn't mean that we talk about every aspect of the business every time we visit.
If I could just add as well, that relationship has allowed us to get to a point where we have moved on, we have improved things. Beverly's now taken responsibility and ownership of the business as a DPS, as now the only named person on the premises licence. She's taken a difficult decision to remove Ashley from the business because that wasn't conducive to, you know, what we'd like to see in terms of complying with licensing and the 4 main objectives. So the relationship has helped us to get to the point where we are now.
I'd like to sort of clarify something you said earlier, and you were talking about neighbours coming directly to you rather than going to Worcester Regulatory Services. I wonder if you understand the reasons why people might not want to do that, in that they live where they live in that locality, and we've heard that people have moved. So I'm wondering if you can understand the personal circumstances of people not wanting to come directly to you.
I can understand people not wanting to come to me directly, especially in the society that we do live in. People do get frightened, absolutely. And this is why I've gone through the environmental health route for whoever these people are, however many they are. Going back to the hundreds of complaints, is that 100 people, or is that just a few people continually making those complaints? I'm not sure. But again, going back to that question, I have asked for whoever these people are to come with the environmental health. Just speak to me on my own. I'm not a shouty person. I will sit there and I will listen, and I want to work 100% with whoever these people are and see if we can find a resolution. But I do respect we are unfortunately living in quite a scary society at times. But that is not me as a person. And they haven't given me a chance also for them to get to know me as a person. And also, I want to listen to them as well to see what their actual grievance they have with the public, because it is a pub. It is a pub, and it's been there since 1760. If I don't put anything on Friday, Saturday, I can't make any money. I can't make any money.
Right, well, thank you very much, everybody who's contributed so far. I'm now going to give an opportunity for any further information to be presented from anybody who has already spoken.
Thank you. I'd like to just respond to a couple of comments that were made there. So with regards to the lack of communication with Red Oak Taverns, Red Oak Taverns took over at the end of May 24, and these complaints have been going on since 2021, summer of 2021, whereby Environmental Health were dealing with the landlords because it was a different setup then. So I never got information to say that the takeover had been undertaken. But as I say, it had been made clear in the land registry searches and also in my emails with Red Oak Taverns to say that here are the notices, this is what it means. Again, if a notice is being taken seriously, you know, by a landlady, I would have thought that that would have been one of the main subjects that needed to be discussed with the new owners of the premises. Just a couple of other points regarding the television. It's my experience with televisions, there is buttons on the side that you can adjust the volume for in case somebody does lose the remote control. That would be a concern in this instance if that is the case, and the TV is allowed to remain outside. With regards to the doors and windows being kept open, Mrs Walton has said that there have been no complaints from the care home opposite. We have got complainants in School Road anyway, and the nature of noise is such that it doesn't just travel straight, it's a sound wave and it can bounce and reflect, so the noise coming out of those windows isn't just going to affect the care home opposite, it's going to affect other residents in the surrounding areas. And I would also suggest, yes, Mrs Walton does have a duty of care to her customers within the pub, but I would also say she has a duty of care to those premises surrounding her property as well, who may also want to open their windows to their houses on a hot day. And as we've said, it isn't just outdoor loud amplified music, it is indoor amplified music, and it is the customer noise as well. And this is why we've asked for drinks not to be taken out after 10 o'clock, because people go out with their drinks and they sit down and they congregate and they have a chat. So this is why we're trying to remove that noise from the late night noise from these customers. Mrs Walton has described it as a welcoming, friendly, family-friendly pub, respectful, people feel safe within there. So drink spiking, I'm not sure about that. And I think that's all. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm now going to move to closing statements unless anybody has something else they need to contribute.
Can I just come back on a couple of things there? Was your communication direct with Red Oak?
Yes, I've got emails with Graham Bunn, Red Oak, here, and also Freeth solicitors, 2 solicitors from Freeth I've been in contact with, Selina Norris and a Gary Munro, that were acting on behalf of Red Oak Taverns.
So you were aware that we purchased the...
I wasn't aware that you'd purchased it. This was an inquiry from Land Registry Searches, and thrown up that there was 2 notices served on the premises. Yeah. So this was just inquiries to say, what is that? And I wasn't aware that Red Oak had taken over and purchased the pub. No.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. I'd now like to ask the licensing officer to make a closing statement, please.
Thank you, Chair, members. Thank you. You've been asked to consider an application for review of a premises licence, which has been submitted in respect of the Berkeley Arms. And it was submitted by Environmental Health, acting as a responsible authority on behalf of Worcester City Council. You've had the opportunity to hear from Ms Burton and present all of the evidence and listen to sound recordings and further statements and comments. You've had the opportunity to consider the representations, namely letters from local residents in support of that application, and there were 7 in total, all raising issues of noise nuisance and undermining the licensing objective of public nuisance. You've had the opportunity now to hear from Mrs Walton, the licence holder, and again commented on a number of points which have been raised, and you've also had the opportunity to hear from witnesses in support of Mrs Walton in this forum today, who are supporting the premises. A representation from Jonathan Smith is also contained. You've had the opportunity to consider that, and you've heard from Red Oak Taverns, who are the property owners in respect of the issues which have been raised, and also the supporters who have raised put forward representations, letters of representation which are contained in your pack. You now need to make a determination on this matter in respect of the application, and in doing so you must take one of the following steps that you consider appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objective of the prevention of public nuisance. And I mentioned them earlier in the report, but I'll go over them again just to remind everybody of the options which are open to the panel. And that is A, take no action. Having heard everything, you may feel it appropriate that no action needs to be taken in respect of the review application. B, to modify the conditions which are attached to the licence. You have a copy of the licence with the current conditions attached. You may feel it appropriate to attach further conditions. Again, should you choose this option, you must consider section 177A, 4 of the Licensing Act, which means that the licensing authority may add further conditions relating to music as if it were regulated entertainment. This is taken into effect, the Live Music Act, and bring it back into regulation. So you'll need to state that those conditions take effect, whereas they wouldn't normally between the hours of 8 AM and 11 PM. You have the option to exclude a licensable activity from the scope of the licence. You have the opportunity to remove the designated premises supervisor, should it be appropriate, considering all of the information that you've heard today. Similarly, you have the option to suspend the licence for a period not exceeding 3 months, and the ultimate is to revoke the licence. Again, needs to be proportionate. And I mentioned that you shouldn't just take action just because you feel it desirable to do so. It has to be proportionate in order to promote the licensing objectives. So taking all of those matters into account, you may need to determine this application and come to a conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Niall. I'm now going to ask the same thing of the applicant to make a closing statement.
Thank you. I'd just like to confirm that WRS, we're not looking to ban live music or remove the licence from the Berkeley Arms. The conditions that are being asked for, most of them are already on the licence outside the hours of 8 AM to 11 PM, and these were enforced prior to the Live Music Act of 2012. Bringing this licence review today, again, it's not a decision taken lightly by WRS. And all that is being asked of the landlady is that she doesn't create intrusive levels of noise that cause a nuisance to the local community. Intervention efforts by environmental health with solutions for compromise have been ignored, not taken seriously, which is why the abatement notice was served and why we're here today. By placing these conditions back on the licence, it's felt that that is the only way to control the noise nuisance from the Berkeley Arms and to uphold the prevention of public nuisance objective of the Licensing Act 2003 and ensure compliance with the noise abatement notice. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'd now like to invite the same closing statement from the licensed premises holder.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, I would not ignore anybody or any advice. I welcome advice. Lots of occasions I've asked for advice from yourselves, and again to try and find a solution to work with it, because it is a business and it's very, very difficult. I speak to my neighbours constantly. In fact, all the letters that you've received in your pack and the map, all the letters are from my immediate neighbours that circle and surround my pub. So I want that to be taken into account as well, please, because they are my immediate neighbours. Also, I still need to clarify the definition of statutory nuisance. To me, its meaning is that is continual, not one-off events, which is what we're talking about here today. Also, I would still like to address and go back how many actual physical people have opposed me, and are they actual neighbours? And then the hundreds, it's just like, well, that I would like some clarity on that, I really would. because I haven't had 100 letters. And that's about it. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd also like to invite a statement from legal, please.
Thank you, Chair. So just to sum up really, you're aware that we have to determine this application. We have to consider the guidance under the section 182. We have to consider our own statement of licensing policy and our licensing objectives under the Licensing Act, particularly the prevention of public nuisance in this case. You have to consider all the representations that you've received. You should not give any less weight to representations that you've only received in writing, i.e. for people who haven't been able to attend the hearing today. You should only consider matters that are directly relevant to the licensing objective. To that end, I would just flag with you that you do have discretion in the case of with this level of data that you're going to need to go through. You are entitled to make your decision in private and then issue it in writing if that is something that you felt was necessary given the time constraints. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. I think that is good advice, and I think we're going to go for that option. Thank you. Do you mind explaining what that means?
Sorry, so that means that the decision won't be made publicly today. They will make the decision today, and then there will be a written decision notice issued to all parties within 5 working days. Okay?
I think therefore that let's conclude the meeting. The meeting is now finished. Thank you.